This is Sarah's website. And in nearly 20 years as a business coach, she's written 3 books, speaks 5 languages, and hosts a podcast. She's built something called the humane marketing movement, and it has no hype, no sleaziness, just real results through empathy and integrity. She's the real deal, but here's one thing. She's succeeding despite her website, not because of it. So I'm going to be walking through her website and working through what's working and what's not working using the framework that I use with my $7,000 clients. All right, before we start going into the website and seeing what we can fix, first, let's talk about what Sarah got right. And believe me, she got a lot of things right here. I think when I go to her About page, I definitely feel like her About page is very warm, it's very personal and very specific. I like the color palette that she's chosen, and it's kind of sprinkled throughout here, this like purple and this yellow here. I think it's a really nice color palette. I also like her use of imagery here. When you see images of her, it definitely gives you like a personal feel, and it draws you into like the warmth and the personality, and it kind of ties in her idea about humane marketing, because that's what it is. She's not trying to be sleazy or trying to be hype. She's trying to be herself, and she's trying to show her personality and being a human, and that's really what the humane marketing is about. And I think that's really backs it up and makes it like a movement, not just a gimmick. And I think most coaches don't have anything close to that, and because of that, I think she's clearly a premium coach. She's not competing at a $97 course level. So I think the hard part of her website is done. I think just the rest of it, there's some little things here that can be caught up and kind of keep up with the rest of that value that she's giving and making it really personal. All right, so the first pillar is clarity. Does your website within the first 5 seconds is clear about what you do and who you do it for and why it matters? So when I go on this hero section here on her page, there's 3 paragraphs here, and it's not until the 3rd section here that actually says what she does and who she does it for and why it matters. So right here it says that she offers conscious business coaching for established entrepreneurs, founders, and coaches. So it says what she does, who she does it for right here, and it says how she does it, which is humane tactics to build and grow their business or life's work without the hype, but with empathy, kindness, and integrity. And I think, again, we're seeing this word conscious show up, and I think that to put a little bit more skin on this and definition on the word conscious, we should introduce this area here where it says with empathy, kindness, and integrity, because that's really what she's really referring to when she says conscious business coaching. So I think that helps rather it be less vague here in this area and kind of define it more. And I think it's great that she has business coaching and established entrepreneurs and everything else here. And this is definitely the strongest part of this hero section. So my recommendation is to make this more prominent and prop it up more and kind of remove some of this stuff here, because this is a little more vague and it's a little more like play on words, a little more clever, a little more emotional. And I think that you can do that more in this area here, or just do without it altogether and just emphasize this area and provide a next step here. That's another thing that's missing in this area, which I'll get into at another point in this video. But I think this area right here is definitely needs to be a little more clear, and the emphasis of this section here. And the reason why this matters is because if someone lands on your site and they don't know what you do within the first 5 seconds, they're just going to leave. And so clarity is the foundation of this area. All right, so the second pillar that I'm going to be getting into and looking at this website from is trust. Does this site prove she's credible? And the thing is, she definitely has trust signals that are working in her favor. And I would say this: the 3 books, the 20 years doing this, and also a podcast, and also international speaking, which it's all written here in the About page of her site. But none of it is on the home page. There's no book covers, there's no social proof, there's no testimonials or anything. It's just the hero section, this button to another website that goes into the humane marketing website, which leaves the website altogether. And but none of it is on the home page. And so I think that that's an area that she definitely could improve on here. The About page proves that she's an authority, and the home page introduces her like a stranger. So there's a stark contrast. And again, like I mentioned in the first point, that the homepage is where most people are going to land. So right now it's really bare bones when it comes to the content on here. But the About page, there's tons of it. And so are they going to make it to the About page? Probably not. They're probably going to click onto the homepage, see very little, and then leave. And that's costing leads. And so those 2 pages need to begin to talk to each other. So my recommendation is to pull 2 to 3 really good solid testimonials and place them here on the homepage. Show the books that she's written visually here, and maybe links to where people can buy them. And also let the credibility that she already has from all these years of doing this, let it do the work. She already did the hard part. Now it's just showing it here on this homepage. And so the reason why this matters is because trust is built in seconds, and premium clients that are going to pay top dollar for a business coach like her, they're not just going to take her word for it. So this is very, very important in this area. Now, here's when things get interesting. Positioning and action. This is where most coaches leave money on the table. Let me show you what I mean. All right, and the third pillar is positioning. And the question that this should be answering is, does Sarah stand out from the thousands of other online business coaches? And the thing is, she does something that most other coaches don't do. She has a named philosophy, which is the humane marketing. And that's a position that basically says, I reject the hype. I'm not a cookie cutter coach, and I built something that's even better than what most other coaches have. She has her own thing that she's doing, and I respect that. I love that about this website and how she's done that for herself. And again, it's just due to her credibility of doing this for 20 years, and she knows what works and what doesn't. And so she's made her own philosophy that she runs her business by and helps a lot of other entrepreneurs with. And so I think on the homepage right now, it's just looking more like an afterthought. It's like the small part, almost like a footnote on her site. And I think it should be the frame that everything else hangs on. And right now it's not. And so my recommendation is to build upon it more and create a section that's the front and center of her homepage. And like I mentioned, everything hangs from this. And so I would have this at the top built up real nicely, and then underneath have the coaching, description, have like the programs, the packages, have the books, the podcasts underneath, the testimonials. So it kind of builds up this area here, because right now it's just on its own on a little island. And the reason why that matters is because without this, really people knowing that this makes her different, she kind of can come off as just sounding like pretty much any other online business coach. And when that happens, you get compared on price. And the thing is, she has a very clear point of view on what she does, and I think that can help her a lot more and make it an easier conversation and an easier client that she takes on, and when it comes to onboarding, because it means that she gets hired on fit and not on price. And I think that is crucial. All right, so the fourth pillar is action. Does this site guide visitors to take a clear next step? And the honest answer is no. There is no clear call to action on the homepage. There's no book a discovery call button. There's no lead magnet. There's no email capture. And a visitor who wants to hire her has to hunt for what to do, and that friction costs leads. And so one thing that I recommend is adding a button here that when they click, they can do a free discovery call. And I think that helps a lot because it's really not a lot of friction and it's very effortless for a person to do that. And it builds that bridge and that gap to someone who's interested, that they can start a discussion, and that could be a potential lead and a potential customer eventually. And I think that would help a lot. A secondary one would be some sort of lead magnet, like a checklist or something they can download. They can put their email in, and she can continue to send value and educate them and give value over time, where eventually that person can, when they're ready, can become a customer. And I think that would help a lot too. So you're maximizing all the visitors that land on the site. And I think too, like, the reason why this even matters is because every visitor that leaves without taking an action is a lost lead. And a homepage with no CTA is pretty much like a store that has no checkout. And that's what this website is doing right now. There's no way of checking out. If you want to become a client, you kind of have to like click around and figure out how to get to that. And that's something that some people may not have time for, and it just will create like a high bounce rate, and people will just leave just due to frustration alone. And that's a silly way to kind of lose a potential person who is interested in working with you. All right, so here's a little recap of everything we covered so far with each of the pillars. So when it comes to clarity, the issue with this is that there's just not a value proposition. It's a little bit buried. And when it comes to trust, the credibility is real. It definitely is, and it's just not on the homepage. And when it comes to positioning, the humane marketing is what makes her different, and I would definitely recommend bringing it out more. And also, when it comes to action, which is the fourth pillar, there's no clear call to action. So that's one of the easiest fix, and probably I would say even like the highest return is just adding those buttons here in the hero section up top. And the thing is too, like, this website is not a bad website. It just hasn't caught up to the person behind the website. Like we mentioned, she's has a podcast, written 3 books, speaks a bunch of different languages, been doing this for over 20 years. And I see this all the time where there's a person who's just been doing it so much and is super established, but the website just isn't showing that value behind it. And so Sarah, she's already done all the hard stuff. The site just needs to reflect that. And to be honest, that's probably one of the best problems to have. All right, so that wraps up the video. I hope you guys found a lot of value in this. And when you're looking at your website, you should look at the clarity, the trust, the positioning, and then the action. Are these things clear on your website? And if not, that's exactly what I help with. So down below, you can find a link where you can book a strategy session with me. And we talk one-on-one about your website and see what we can do in terms of fixing your site and making it better, and see if there's any areas where it's costing you any leads. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Till next time.